So, hello everyone. We are here live, episode 11 of Safety in Ascension podcast. Marina, Beech, and I. Yay! The last one of the year. We started exactly a year ago today.
Really?
Yes. Well,
no,
maybe not today, but a year ago this month. Sorry.
Yes, yeah, a year ago. I was going to say that was.
I think it was this week though that we actually went live for the first time when we talked about the Akashic Records and some of the topics that we wanted to talk about. We've had some juicy topics over this year of 2024. It's been quite expansive. And we really are here to just dispel some of the myths around the Akashic Records, around spirituality. Marina and I have some very interesting conversations as soul sisters, both of us being Akashic Record teachers, healers, workers, and just really bringing some of these conversations to the light, dispelling some of these myths, really talking into some of the nuances and the new paradigm stuff so that we can really, I don't know, like feel safe in this whole ascension process. And so that we can have powerful conversations, because we really do believe that powerful conversations are the power of the healing, of the release, of the moving forward, don't we?
Absolutely, yes. So sorry, I was just sharing to all the places. I need to still share it on my personal profile, but it's perfect. It's sharing to the group. So if you have got comments, please pop them in there. And if we can't see them straight away, hopefully we can, but we will definitely come back to you as soon as we can. But this is a juicy topic. It's a very triggering topic. And interestingly enough, both me and Natasha have been working with wealth, money, prosperity as a focus in the last couple of weeks. So it is all divinely timed, how everything lands in our various projects, and what we're working with our various clients. And it just seems that money in particular is the healer that has stepped forward for this particular podcast and at this particular time. So
yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? It's like, it's been so fascinating that whenever we have a conversation around something, so obviously we're going to talk about money and frequency and, just these old paradigms around money that are keeping us stuck, keeping us broken, like the lies that we believe in, like we buy into, and how we can just shift our perspective on them. So if you've got questions about money, thoughts about money, we're not here as the authority to say we're absolutely right and we have this all sorted. We're here to have the discussion, to raise those conversations that many of us are not having around these topics, to bring them to the surface, because through that we alchemize something, we shift something, we change something, we dispel those myths, it supports us into our next level of expansion, growth, evolution in humanity. So we're really here to have these difficult, challenging, interesting conversations, but we welcome conversation, we welcome questions, and we are always tuning in, connecting with the Akashic Records. Marina and I both channel through the Akashic Records, so it's just really about what comes through, and through the questions that you ask, that's where they come through as well. So share, like, follow us, doing our own thing on Instagram, here on Facebook, on YouTube, Safety in Ascension podcast as well. So where should we start, Marina, with this?
Well, we have got a little bit of a list, a bit of structure, because we both need something to follow. Otherwise, we could just go off on any tangent. So we were going to talk about, we're going to start with the history of money and money wounds. And of course, all of us are going to resonate with having some kind of money wound.
Oh, yeah.
Of some kind. So how money comes with so many beliefs. So I mean, from my perspective, there's two main areas that we have within the human experience that we can definitely use as an enabler to support our ascension process, support our alignment, stepping into our soul's evolution and growth and expansion. Relationships is one of them, and money is the other. Although there are more, of course, health and connection. There's so many, but money is a massive one for sure. And money is probably the one that actually one of the life areas that will get talked about the most and will get weaponized the most as well. Well, I'd say every life area is weaponized in some shape or form, but money is definitely right up there. It's an enabler, it's a disabler, and it's really just it does show us where our limiting beliefs are, our traumas, our wounds, our gifts, our aspirations, where our excitement can come from, where our experiences can be expanded. Money supports all of that. And it also helps us to heal. It helps us to heal, obviously, our money relationship and connection, but it also can help heal other life areas as well. I think if you're struggling to kind of maybe look at your relationships, maybe look at your money relationship first, and you'll probably find that actually you can improve areas in other life areas if you just use money as a topic.
Yeah, that's a really interesting, because everything is interlinked, right? Nothing is separate. Every life area for us is interlinked with something, or with all of us. So it's like, how do we look at one thing, or feel that we have to look at and dive into one thing because that's where we're feeling it? So we only focus on that, and we forget that actually we are doing or being in a certain way, bringing up these our belief system through other areas, life areas, through our relationship. And actually it's the money that's really, really kind of like not supporting us in our relationships, or vice versa, or it's around health and well-being. And it's like, I always am curious about what's going on in everybody else in other areas of people's lives when they come to me like, oh, I want to fix my money thing, or I want to fix my relationship thing, or I want to fix my health thing. And I'm like, tell me about the others. And they're like, no, they're all fine. I'm like, let's just have a little look. And so it's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we know that money, I mean, what is the history of money? And we know that money was formed as it's currency, isn't it? That's what it is, essentially. It was it created by the Romans as a form of, obviously, exchange and a way of purchasing things. But then obviously it's got into the hands of power, and it then started to kind of elevate power, elevate the patriarch, elevate or trigger and start to activate more shadow aspects of the human condition, such as greed and envy and jealousy and hate and all of those, and status, creating status. And it started to create that separation and that divide, which how money has, one of the ways that money has been used as a weapon is to create separation in the collective. And we obviously can see that in massive ways around the world.
Yes, totally. And also separation, so when I think about, my mum couldn't hold her own bank account until 1975. That was in my lifetime. I was born in that belief system that women were not able to hold their own money, to have their own money, and how that all filters through the generational lines, that women were disempowered around money. And so we're, I would say, not only, but especially for women, we hold a lot of wounding around that, of like having to ask for money, having to feel supported by someone else. We couldn't be free, autonomous, make our own choices with money and financially for so long. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie.
Good to have you here. And so, that always brings me back to the point where, like, that coding, that energy, those belief systems are within me. And so how am I breaking them down? How am I letting go of those? When I started even on my spiritual journey, I remember thinking, oh, it's not spiritual to have money. And, listening to that rhetoric through other spiritual teachers, it's not spiritual to have money. Money is evil. Money is bad. If you have too much money, then you're not going to do good with it. There are so many examples of people doing amazing, incredible things with money around the world. It's just not spoken about because we see and we are fed how bad money is, how destructive it is to the environment. And as somebody who, you know, spent many of my years in conservation and supporting conservation efforts, you know, and working for the social enterprise, I felt like in order to do good work, I had to be poor. Like that time was not valued to the same degree as working in IT, which I was like, that was my previous role in corporate and working and earning very, very good money. It was a sacrifice. It's like, well, if I want to leave and should do good in the world, that comes with the sacrifice of earning less money. And it did. And that was something I, even in those days, 30 years ago, was like really adamant, like, hang on a second, what is going on in this industry, in the volunteer industry? Like, you had to volunteer and give up your time. And I did all that. And I did it because I wanted to learn and I wanted to soak that up. But like, there's this perception running through this, like doing good for the world has to come with lack.
Yeah, it has to come at a price.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I just kind of coming back to that point around the way that the typical family setup, certainly in the UK, but I'd imagine that this is kind of common to other countries, other cultures, that, you know, the female had the housekeeping and she was given that certain amount to go and spend on the food. And I know that speaking to clients mainly, where they have personally, or they knew that their mum would keep some aside either for a rainy day or for something, you know, that would potentially go wrong and they needed to kind of put it out. But for some people, it was also to escape actually marriage. And to kind of get out of a really challenging like relationship. But it is kind of keeping what I'm feeling. It's almost like you're kept on a rope, you're kept on a short leash, and this is all you're allowed because you're a woman, you know, and you can't be trusted with money. I had that because I used to spend money like water. So like every now and again when my mum, well, she wouldn't give me money I then set up a plan to work for money. So I was very industrious and worked for money from a very early age. I had a whole chore sheet with all of the monies, all agreed with my parents. And then I would be working through all of these chores. Yeah, because I had my first job at 13. It was like, this is not enough money, so I'm going to go out and get a job. So I got a job at 13 as well. But I remember my mum saying, like, maybe I've only said it once, but it's clearly stuck with me, is that you can't be trusted with money. You spend it like water, which of course, I've got money. I want to spend it, you know. You know, I want to be frivolous with it. Why can't I be frivolous with it? But
there's always more.
Yeah, but we were kind of like, well, there isn't, and you've got you've got to be careful with it. You've got to be careful with it.
Yeah. And it's like, money doesn't grow on trees, you know. It's like, you know, be careful, save up for a rainy day. And yes, there is about a sensibility around things.
Yeah,
and I love having money in the bank. I love to see that I have something in case I want to buy myself something, or I want to invest in something, or I want to do something, and that I have the money available to me rather than living on credit. And for some people have a very different perception on that, and that is fine also. It's how we respond to that. Like, do we feel like we're getting poorer, or we're getting richer, or we're getting wealthier? And I always think of wealth not only as money. Wealth is about experience. Wealth is about relationships. Wealth is about conversation. Wealth is about health. And also encompassed in that is money. And so, I think for you and I having this conversation a couple of weeks ago, it really made us very alert, very aware, very present about how we were talking about money and investments and paying for things and the feelings that are associated to it. And I think one of the biggest things, I think, for anyone who's watching this, it's to be very, very aware of what is the when you pay for something, when you exchange something, when you do something. And Julie's saying here, you know, about not feeling comfortable for payment, noticing those feelings, those emotions, those, what is that steeped in? What is that bringing up for you? Just to hold an awareness of it, that you're not 100% comfortable asking for a payment for your readings. But like, what is it? Is it 80%? How can you get to 81%? How can you get to 82% comfortable with it? And working with that and moving through that and just noticing, because I think the conversations that we've been having, Marina, backwards and forwards, about what we've actually noticed, like what's under, like I know Marina's done, I've done a lot of work around, you know, work, healing, awareness around this, and stuff is coming to the surface. And I'm like, wow, how, like, what is that all about? There is still so much coded within me around money and my holding myself small around that, and not being able to feel fully abundant, like infinitely abundant, because that's what we are, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of like noticed like things around language, which we've kind of shared with each other, you know, very much. I noticed that using the word pay, I've noticed there's a slight element of resentment or obligation that's connected with that word. I don't know where that's from, but this is, if I use the word pay, it's like I'm having to pay back. I'm having to pay something that is over and above what I'm actually paying. So it's like I'm giving more. So I'm going to stop using the word pay, because I can feel that there's something in that doesn't sit with me. And spend, you know, spend also it's also not starting to feel right, because it's like I can't hold on to it. It's spending. I don't have control or empowerment over. It's like you're spending this. I don't know. There was a certain words that kind of just I kind of got really brought awareness to. But then there was also some shame that came up with bits and pieces around like money connection, money things that have just come up. And I think when we decide that we are going to intentionally look at a particular life area, it's fascinating then how many examples are then brought to your awareness, brought into your experience for you to see, actually, this is what's happening for you. This is the connection. And you either notice it or you don't notice it. But if you're intentionally setting an intention, I'm going to look at money, I'm focusing on money for the next month, it is incredible how many things show up. In all,
as we're witness to, right?
Yeah, and all of the stuff that goes on around you that people are talking about. Oh my God, conversations that have come up that I'm just listening to or hearing, or you know, kind of being pulled into or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, you know, cancel, alt, delete.
No. It's quite incredible, even to the point where we're watching it on TV through other things, and seeing that reflected back to us, and with that awareness and that recognition of what emotion and what feeling and belief we are being held to around it, we can release it, you know, very, very quickly. We can really shift that frequency so beautifully, because we have such an attachment to money. We put so much meaning to money. It means this, it means X, it means Y, it means I'm rich, I'm poor, I'm good, I'm bad. I should hide it. I have to hold it and keep it safe and put it under the mattress in case somebody steals it from me. You know, there's a lot of attachment to money when we have a lot of it. This is not just for people who feel like we're in lack, right? No. So the people who have an abundance of money also hold a huge amount of money codes and limiting beliefs around it, and all sorts of different things. It's like, how can we actually release ourselves, whatever our money situation is? Whatever our money situation is, where are those little blind spots, those little energies that are keeping us small, holding us back? Like, we really are absolutely infinite beings. And Julie says, do you feel it's not about realizing my worthiness of being paid? I think there's so much wrapped up in in our worth, and like that and it's wrapped up in all these beliefs, like we shouldn't charge for our, charge. We want to be good. We want to be seen to be good. We don't want to be judged. We don't want to allow ourselves to, if you just notice, there's a lot of money talk out on the social media, and if we think what we want is more money, we want to be financially free and independent. And when you see another woman, say for instance, smashing it, talking about her 6-figure months, her 6-figure weeks, her 6-figure days, what's your reaction to that? Do you celebrate that woman? Do you celebrate them, or do you think, oh, that's vulgar, that's disgusting? And yet we want to be in this opulent space, and yet when we see it reflected back to us through someone else who's making what we can only sometimes wish or dream of, it's in our capacity to have it without a shadow of a doubt. But your response to seeing others is your reflection of what's going on within you and why it's still not in your experience, right? Because your response to them will be so telling about why it's not in your experience right now.
Yeah, and that's really good. Yeah, no, I mean, I get frustrated at times. It really depends where I'm at. I think in my money relationship through that month, which obviously is connected with my business. So sometimes I would be like, oh my God, that's amazing, celebrate. Other times I'll be frustrated and I'm not doing enough. Sometimes I'd be just like, just really pissed off, and just like, get rid of social media, you know what I mean? So I will still have a host of reactions around that. And I can't, hand on heart, I can honestly say I do not celebrate every person that I see that's doing a 6-figure month. I do get fucked off, and that's me just being honest,
Right, good for you. But in that honesty already, there's something shifting in that, just that recognition and allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to have that.
Yeah.
And it's like we hide what we want to celebrate in ourselves, and when we have it, we're like, mustn't tell anyone because then someone's going to judge us. Someone's going to be pissed off at it. Someone's going to hate us for it.
I'm going to lose clients now. I've said that,
Yes. Yeah. So say that again.
No, but I mean, that's not how I feel. But on another day, I could potentially feel that and then not actually express or even admit to myself that's how I'm feeling. And you're right. Once you admit it to yourself, you can let that energy go. And it's how you respond and how you take action after that. If you're sitting and dwelling in it, that's when there's something more, there's a wound or something to definitely look at in a deeper way. And if you're sitting in there for a long time, then you're kind of falling into victim mode and need to kind of really be pulled out the mire, but by fellow soul sisters and brothers.
But absolutely. I really do believe that. It's like, how do you respond to people who drive around in flashy cars? Like,
I'm completely neutral. I'm completely neutral to that. That's like,
but again, that's like a show of opulence, a show of wealth, and how we respond to that for some of us is like we diminish them. We don't even know them. We don't know what they're doing in the world, and yet there is an immediate. So just being aware of that, because those are really showing you what your money wounds are and how you're responding to things and how you are navigating the whole money of things. And we don't trust it. We feel like, we have it, we lose it, we pay for something, we give it, we pay back something, we're and it's like it's simply a flow of energy. Money is energy, and it's like flowing around the system. Money is infinite, like it's energy is infinite. It's like there is no ceiling on what you can earn other than what the ceiling is that we put on ourselves.
And that was one of the things that we spoke about, was the frequency that you attach to money. And if you can be more conscious around, today I'm going to receive and share or give money from a place of love. So every time I receive money, or I go to a coffee shop and I buy a coffee, although I don't drink it, I'm going to do it with love. And that's just the frequency I'm going to attach to this particular action of using this energy. So if we can become more conscious around that, we can actually just that simple exercise of attaching a beautiful frequency to the energy of money could really help strengthen and change your relationship with money just by doing that. But it's just bringing consciousness to it. I know that another thing that came up for me over these last couple of weeks was that similar to what you're saying, Julie, was that I had put money above my own time and gifts. Money was more on a pedestal than what I valued as my time and my gifts, which I will always charge for my gifts generally, although I do give a lot in my community. But I've even had ChatGPT say to me, you do not charge enough for your services based on the transformation that you deliver. And it's almost like ChatGPT has given me permission to put my prices up, which is great.
Oh my word.
I was curious too, where am I priced in the general market with these services and transformation? They were like, you're way too low. You should be charging this, like within this range. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Because I now feel like, okay, I've got a little bit of something kind of like practical backup that actually is telling me there's a survey out there that I am charging lower. But I put money higher, or have been putting money higher on the scale to my own gifts and my own time. Time for me, even though I have this funny relationship with time. I seem to give time away freely, or whereas money, I have a deeper visceral connection and response to, whereas time, it's like, just give it away. And it's weird that I just haven't had that. They're just haven't been on an equal playing field. And they, if anything, my time and my energy and my gifts should be way more.
Yes. And that's it, isn't it? And it's so true as well. And so just thinking about that, I recognize that I allow money in through certain things far more easily than I do through other things. So it goes through investments and things like that. I'm like, or windfalls. I'm like, oh gosh, oh right, oh I didn't expect, oh that's there, oh great, brilliant. And because that feels like I'm not
earning it.
Anything to that, it just happens and there's just more money there. Whereas in my business, I have to work hard for my money. I have to show up, I have to give time, I have to do all these things. And I love what I do. I absolutely adore what I do. I mean, like, I would do this even if I didn't get paid, I would do it every day. But there is a level of like, the world works on money. We need to support ourselves. And if we're releasing these wounds, we have to step into our value and what we're worth and how we support people. And the world is changing. Everything, the jobs that exist today didn't exist 10 years ago. We have to be innovative about how we are creating this new world and how we're creating this new paradigm and who we want to be in it. And money is still something that the world works on. And what meanings are we attaching to those so we can move beyond those and perhaps enter, who knows, in our lifetimes, next lifetimes, 5, 6, 7 generations. I firmly believe that our system of currency will change. I really do believe that. And I'm getting confirmation and chills from that. Our currency will absolutely change. But for now, it is still money. It's still, that is the currency that we exchange. And obviously, in our line of work, we are exchanging energy. There's a lot, as you and I do, Marina, it's like we exchange a lot of energy through the system, and we know we're doing things we're, in the energetics. But it's really about healing our money wound, shifting that energy around it, noticing what we're doing. What if money were neutral? What if we had no meaning to money? It was just money.
So if it was kind of like I don't know, a rock that was just outside, picked up,
and it was infinitely abundant, like a grain of sand.
Like a grain of sand.
How would we view it then?
That's it. Well, we would, like you say, we would just be neutral, and it would be just seen as a form of being able to enhance our experience, or to clothe ourselves, or feed ourselves, or heat our homes. But there wouldn't be any, there wouldn't be any of the wars and the keeping people under a certain level of welfare and all of that. There wouldn't be the control as much. But it's a good example.
How many people, like going back to your example though, how many people have died in the name of money?
Billions. Billions and billions.
In the name of money, and not even for themselves, for others.
Mm-hmm.
And so how can we really truly start to, I don't think the end goal is to completely free ourselves right here, right now. How can we start to free ourselves from these shackles that we have given to money? We have given that to money.
Yeah.
And so how do we really release that? It is a way of empowering us, freeing us, supporting us to do what we want in the world, to have what we want, to give back how we want, to choose to do what we want and how we give back. And I feel
it comes back to consciousness, doesn't it? And how every individual person has what it's basically just having a list of questions. For me, it's like, really going deeper into what is my money relationship like, and what am I prepared to start to change?
Yeah.
And knowing that whatever limitation or belief or wound that you have potentially, or vow like that you've taken, just knowing that, just with the consciousness and then the intention of releasing that through your records, and even for the highest good of all concerned, through your ancestral records, you're doing, I don't want to use the word good, but you're shifting the consciousness around money just by taking these very individual small steps. You imagine if everybody did that, and they sat down and just looked at their money relationship and cleared one belief around money, or one vow or something. What impact would that have if everybody did that? I mean, I'm getting a lot of chills around that.
Me too. And that's why
huge.
Huge. And that's why I'm so grateful for the conversations that we get to have here, and we get to have, privately around these things as we discover topics that we feel are really important. And, going back to these conversations around investing in ourselves and having what we truly desire, it's the highest level of self-care, self-respect, self-adulation. It's like self-love. It's like we're doing these things for us. We are really supporting our system to go and do development courses, to go and, to feel good in us. We send off a different vibration. We have a different frequency when we feel good, when we feel like we're tapping into infinite source and abundance. We feel differently, and I can't think of the word now. We give off a different vibration. We shine a different frequency out into the world, and we are adding something different to the world, and how we are navigating it, and how we are contributing to it.
Just being
and it's the biggest thing you can do for yourself. It's like, how often do we say, like, when even with a compliment, oh, I love your top. Oh, this thing, I bought it in a charity shop. It was $5.99. I mean, like, why do we do that? Why do we do that? Why put it in the sale? So what? So what if it was like £10,000 and you love it and you look amazing in it? Like, who cares? It's like, why do we have to diminish? It almost gives us permission to say, oh, I'm wearing something nice, I feel good in, but it didn't cost much. We're so conditioned to doing that. So conditioned to doing that. And years ago, I made this promise to myself that when someone pays me a compliment in that way, I'll say thank you. Thank you. I love this top. And that's it. Doesn't go any further.
You just don't need to bring
great in this
into it at all.
So noticing those things around how you respond to things that people say, you know, say to you, compliment you for, like, congratulate you for, like, your milestone, what you've done, the successes, what you've contributed, what you've achieved.
Yeah.
You know, there was such a part of me, I mean, like a story I've been telling a lot on my Instagram stories about how we're moving to Portugal, and we manifested this incredible farm, 15 acres of woodland. And there was a part of me at the start of this journey that was like, don't tell anyone, because what will people think of me? And they'll think that how did I do that? How did I get that? It was all right for her. And there was all these things, these belief systems in my system that I had to release and let go of and say, but what if I could inspire people? What if I could show people that actually we get to live our dreams? This has been a dream of mine for, well, 2 years now, and we're finally moving in 11 days. Oh my God. And, you know, it's like, but it's been my dream for decades. I've held this frequency and trust in my system that one day I will live on the land, in the land, off the land, connected to the land, at one with the land, working from the land. And this is what we've created. And so I really wanted to, and I had to really sit with that and shift that. And I have had nothing but support, congratulations, people who are telling me consistently, this is so inspiring, thank you for sharing this. And that was my intention. And yes, I probably have pissed off some people around it, because they'll think, who is she to say that? But that's okay too. Thank you. It is amazing. We're going to hold a retreat, aren't we, then?
Yes, indeed. Oh my God, I can't wait to get over
Akashic Retreat. It is going to be open for a retreat. This is a space that is like for healing, for release, to doing this incredible work and connecting with the land. So watch out for that. But it's like I had to really tune in and listen to those messages. And sometimes they show up again, like, well, are you saying too much? Like, what will be? And it's like, no, this is the energy that I want to emit, the frequency that I want to share, to show that anything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the same token around just talking about responses and unconsciousness that can come up, coming back to the point around getting compliments and things like that, when unexpected bills, or you receive a bill at a restaurant and you weren't quite anticipating how much it's going to be, and it's like, oh my God, how much? Or, you know, what did you pay? We're putting this energy, we're attaching this energy to money, and that's lack, it's scarcity, it's shock. You're putting a shock connection to money. Rather than just taking a deep breath. And there might be the part of you that feels unsafe because, oh my God, have I got enough money to pay for this? Or, you know, what is this going to take the money from, you know? But it's then settling down, and it's like, you know, my bills are always paid. My desires, like my needs are always met, and my desires are fulfilled. That this is one of my mentors. That's her kind of like antidote to anything that is kind of like a connection to a shock with money. That's, she has an affirmation, she has this mantra that just then neutralizes the body and it just settles you back down. But it's interesting, anything around bills or unexpected things, that means that money needs to leave. It needs to leave, and it's there almost showing you, how are you going to respond to me? In, you know, in me, you know, you needing to share and give this in a different way. And it's the more that we can change our behavior there, where we're not expecting it, it's unexpected. That's a really good kind of like exercise to just also notice as well.
I love that. That's a really great exercise as well, because I think safety is absolutely key. Because if we are creating a money belief, or we're moving through money, or we're trying to create more money from a space of fear,
that's what we're going to get it back in.
We are only going to anchor more in.
Yeah.
And so no matter if we do money from a space of hard work, fear, lack, scarcity,
undeserving, as Julie said, not worthy, I'm not worthy of this.
Then we will anchor more of that in and then we will have money, but on this wobbly foundation of I'm not safe. There's a lot of fear. What if I lose it? I'm not worthy. I'll never be worthy. I'll have to prove my worth at some point, and then we'll always fear losing it. So then we'll have to do the money work at that point where we have it. So always start to build money foundations from a space of safety, and then you will build on a more safe foundation to build more money from. And that really, I feel, is such a key thing, because there are, as I said, there's so many people that have a lot of money, but they are so triggered by it, so safe in it, that they either can keep hold of it through sheer fear, or they won't be able to keep hold of it, and it will impact their health, their well-being, their nervous system, the relationships, everything. So trying to build that foundation. And I would also like to say, if you really do feel like you're in a space where you have nothing, that you don't know where the next money is coming from paying your bills, that you really allow yourself, because that is an unsafe space to be in, but just to tap into the potential of safety, the possibility of safety, of allowing yourself to know that you have something, that you still have a roof over your head, and that you are safe in that, in this present moment, and tap into it and just keep anchoring it in little by little by little by little, and building in those small incremental steps, staying open to receiving, staying open to something more coming in for you to support you, that you are building on this level of safety, little by little by little. Because when you are bankrupt, when you are, you really truly have nothing, then it feels impossible, but it's not. It really truly isn't. So allow yourself in those small moments, safety with your feet planted on the ground, going out into nature, holding a tree, whatever feels good for you, that helps and supports your system in some small way to feel safe. So I think that's really, really important to share for you. If you really are feeling very much in lack and you can't see a way through something, just be okay to ask for some help, some support, some guidance from somebody who loves you, that would only if you knew, if only they knew. Don't let pride get in the way of that, to asking for support or anything like that. So just to allow yourself in that space of safety. So I just wanted to touch on that, because I know for some people it can be, and especially coming up to Christmas, all these things, like the expectations of that we have to spend money that we don't have, and everything else like that. So
expectation from culture and festivals and times of year and family. I know that for some people, that they don't want large amounts of money. They don't want to win the lottery because, and I've heard people say this to me, I don't want this because I don't know who's going to come out of the woodwork and want money from me. I don't know who's going to ring me up all of these charities and ask me for money, and it's kind of like we have all of this kind of
programming
and feeling and heaviness connected with the anticipation of what will happen if we have money. And money, I think for me, money is, as I've said, it's a great healer, it's a great teacher as well. And it does teach you, even though I did spend money like water, and I did all the way through my 20s, to the point that I did get kicked out of my rented apartment or flat, bedsit. And so I did sofa surf, and I did get blacklisted for 10 years. So I have had a really challenging relationship with money, and which, for me then activated me to work even harder, So I had 2 jobs for 3 years, didn't take a day off, barely over those 3 years. I did 2 jobs. I enjoyed both of the jobs, so it was okay. And I had the energy to do that. And I slowly then built my, paid off my debts, which took a long time, paid off my student loans as well. and got myself back into the black, as it were, black and red. It's funny how we have these colours, red, danger, you know, into the black.
Which is
dark, yeah, isn't it strange?
Yeah, that's another thing.
But I what that taught me was to have a greater responsibility and a healthy respect for money. And what that also taught me was that for me, and this is programming, is the only way that I feel that I can dig myself out of a hole, and using the word digging, is to trade time and energy to solve the problem. Because the shame or the pride of asking for help, because I'm very independent, overly independent, perhaps lone wolf energies potentially, but I have been in situations where I have needed support from my other half, and that was fine. That, you know, there was an agreement there. But as soon as I could start contributing half and half again, I felt more at ease at that, because I did not want to be the kept woman. No, I'm feeling really strongly about that. I didn't want to be the kept woman, because that feels like I'm shackled. I have no get out clause. That's really strange. I don't have my get out of jail free if I can't financially support myself.
Yeah, and it's like we want to. I think there is so much in that. It's like, I've got to, like, for me as well, the independence thing about, like, I've got to do it myself. Don't need anyone else. Don't need to rely on anyone else. And that came from a very activated, triggered space. It's like, don't need the support from anyone else. Got to do it myself.
Yeah.
And then there's the shame of, like, when you do have to ask for help, or you do think, oh, it's not coming through my business. It's coming through these investments, or it's coming through something else. And you're like, but you're being held. It doesn't matter where it comes from. The universe does not know where to send the money. It'll only come through the path of least resistance. It's the only way it can come. You're resonant to it. It'll come through the path of least resistance. So if you're creating all these barriers in your business and beliefs around that you can't hold money in a business, or you can't make money, or you can't ask for money, then if you're resonant to it, it'll find another way. And if you then keep going, no, that's not good enough, I only want it here. It's like this tug of war saying, well, you said you wanted money. We're giving you money because you're resonant to money, yet you're saying it's not good enough. So what happens? Like, it's all a reflection of you, right?
Yeah.
So you have to welcome in and celebrate every bit of money that comes in. If you find a $5 on the floor, you know, if you find, you know, somebody offers you a free. I went into the cafe that we go into, like, often. We spend quite a bit of money in there. I love it. It's like, I always love it. Their coffee's amazing. It's one of the things I truly will miss. And she came up and I said, oh, have you got any soup? She said, oh, we haven't got it yet. It's coming later. And I was sitting there. We'd had a coffee and a croissant, and then she came and she bought me a pot of soup and a piece of bread, and she said, here you go. There you go. I've made you a pot up so you can take it home. You'll have to eat it up because it's not here yet. And I was just like, thank you. I don't, like, financially, do I need that? No, but it was just like, it's just coming to me. I receive it. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Like, we support that business all the time. And it's just receiving. It's being in this energy of, like, celebration and gratitude. It will come through the path of least resistance. We had a moment and it just wanted to come through that way. Don't discount it. Do not discount it.
Yeah, I've forgotten about the path of least resistance. That's a good reminder that, and we have many forms of money channel. Like you say, it can be like discounts, coupons off, switching your providers with your electricity or whatever. There's just so many ways that money can find its way in, and it's not always packaged up in the way that we feel that it should be for us to then be able to receive it.
Exactly.
And that's where we let us, we can scupper the process slightly.
Yeah. And it's like, allow it. And also it will come through other people. I like so many times where I've done money programs with a group, and they're like, we're doing all the stuff around the money, and then they're like, my husband, my partner,
yeah,
my father or my sibling, they just all had a money win, and where's mine? I'm like, there's the lack. It's like, it's like, and they've offered you something, or your partner, and you're co-creating a home together, and it's like, it's all in the pot. It's coming through the path of least resistance. They're not attached to the outcome. You're attached to the outcome of having to receive it. It's coming through. So it'll come through others first as well. So that's always, and it can be disappointing because we're like, well, we're doing the work. Why is it coming to them? And you're like, it's all in the mix. It'll come through the path of least resistance.
Yeah. It is funny. So what I was just having a look here in our little list. So, money is energy. Money is neither good or bad. What's money? Neutral. Sovereignty. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, can I just share something that you said actually on one of our conversations, when you said if it was easy, it might be boring.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, because I attach, because money is a motivator for me, and it's a driver, it's an activator, it's an inspirer, and also, you know, when I feel like my back is to the wall, it's like I come out fighting, and it's like, right, I'm going to make this happen. So if it was just abundantly all around me, it's like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And that I can feel the discomfort in myself, that if I had oodles of money, and it may be just because it's completely alien to me to not have to do anything in order to have money. But there's also this sense of, well, I'll be bored.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put myself in this loop instead, where I have to work for it.
And what if you could just be in this energy of more? Like, oh, you get more time, you get to pay others to support you, and you get to just play in the arena of like the work that is your joy, that lights you up, and you just get to do more of that.
Yes.
And so it's so interesting, because I think one of the things that really, really resonated with me this week was when another mentor of mine, and I think it comes from the Abundance book and John Randall Price, just to quote, because this is something that somebody else said, you know, money doesn't come from people, it comes through source, through people. And we are a unlimited, tapped in source. We are source. We are unlimited. We are abundant. And so, of course, we're going to want to play in more. Of course, we're going to want to play and want more of everything, desire more, because we are infinitely abundant. Source is abundant. And if money is coming through source, and we are source, and we are infinitely abundant, our pure innate desire is to always want more. But we've been taught that wanting more is bad, is wrong,
it's greedy,
evil, right? But if that is our innate frequency of infinite abundance within us, in every trillions of cells within our body, we are fighting who we truly are, which is infinitely abundant.
Yeah.
We're in this constant battle that what we naturally are is infinitely abundant, but we don't want to be infinitely abundant. We say we do. We have this desire that we want to be, yet there is all this conditioning, all this underlying beliefs and everything that is stopping us from being who we innately are.
Yeah.
And we are fitting ourselves into a box, into a paradigm that is no longer serving us.
Yeah.
So what if we just threw away that and just said, let us be who we innately are, which is infinite abundance, and play in this energy of more?
Yeah.
What would happen then?
Yeah. It's the playing in the frequency, or playing in the playground of more. There is affirmations. There's what I call queen laws, and I've been using these queen laws now from last year when I had my Akashic Vortex membership, and we set some queen laws up, and I still have these queen laws. And there is always this kind of like, I'm not using the word more, but there's always this sense of, you know, that I'm allowed to have more. I'm always supported. I always get what I want. But there is still a part of me that's kind of like there that feels that it's wrong to ask for more, that it's not right, that you're taking it maybe from somebody else, that there isn't enough to go around. It comes back to lack and scarcity. I mean, I think if I was to be broken open like a stick of rock, I think lack and scarcity might be running through my DNA.
For many of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I do have, and I've mentioned this to you, or mentioned it actually in my wealth chamber training that I did last week on the card certification, that I do have hoarding tendencies. My hoarding comes through food and hoard, and just never being able to run out of a tin of tomatoes, for instance. Always having one tin in, just in case. And, a tin of kidney beans and a tin of beans, or a tin of soup. Not that I eat any of those. I have the tomatoes and the kidney beans, but it's like I can't have the cupboard completely bare. There has to be just like the bare bones of something in there. And if one goes, then I will top it up. So there's always this kind of like. But then I guess I could maybe look at that I always want to have an overfill. I always have it abundantly full. And maybe that's just my mindset around the cupboard. Yeah. It's not hoarding. I'm actually abundantly filling it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I like to have those. It's so interesting. Same thing, different mindset. Because I like to have it because I'm like, if it's cold and it's raining, I don't want to walk down to the shops.
Yeah.
So if it'll keep, I'd rather have a spare one in the cupboard, so then I can always make something to eat and feel like I'm supported from that perspective. So it's interesting, isn't it, how we view everything? And it's also interesting because I like to have a full fridge as well, because if I want something, it's there for me, that I can eat it, and I do not waste food. I mean, like that, everything in our fridge gets eaten. But my partner, a chef, bless him, it's like he does all the cooking. Love it. But he buys as he goes because he has that mentality. And I'm like, there's nothing in the fridge. He's like, oh, I'll go and get something on the way home. But I'm like, but I want something now. So it's like, but it's so we have a very different mindset about that. And he's like, just buy it when you need it. And I'm like, yeah, but then I can't have it when I want it.
Yeah, which is true.
So it's really interesting. So I'm like, okay, I'll do that little bit so I can feel like I've got everything at hand that I need, so I don't feel empty.
Yeah.
Because that's what it reflects back to me. Empty cupboards is like, it is the lack, whereas the full cupboard is the, anyway, that was an interesting analogy to see how we can do the same thing, but have a very different view on it and meaning that we have attached to it.
So we've attached to it.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. If anyone has any questions, we have been talking. I mean, like, there's still so much we wanted to talk about, but we are at the top of the hour. But if anyone has any questions about it, and thank you, Julie, for your comments as well. And we hope you found this really helpful and just giving you some food for thoughts. And like, if you don't agree with anything that we're saying, then let us know, because we'll see what else there is behind that, and like what more there is. So, and if there's anything you would like to talk into next year, we've got some ideas for next year. Whether this podcast continues, whether it changes slightly, or how we do it.
We feel into it.
Yeah. I mean, this has been, I have to just say thank you, Marina, because this year has been so expansive in just having these conversations, bringing these thoughts that we have behind closed doors or behind a closed Zoom door, and, having, or voice notes, and just bringing them to the forefront and engaging with people and bringing these conversations out. We wanted to bring some really juicy topics. If you're not following us, please go to our podcast, Safety and Ascension, on YouTube. We have all of those replays there. We've talked into time. We've talked about energy. What else have we talked about? Loads of different things.
Oh, we've talked about karma, kind of like, the Akashic Records in a kind of more deeper way. We've talked about some really big, talked about time. I think our time episode probably has had the most The Illusion of Time has had the most listeners, I think, watches. So yeah, we've talked about all sorts of things, really good topics.
Yeah. So tune in, let us know what you want us to talk about next year. And yeah, I don't know, is there anything else you want to add to what we've talked about?
No, I just kind of echoing that again, just sharing gratitude and deep thanks for these conversations. I know that for me personally, and I thank everybody that has tuned in through these different episodes, whether that is live or replay, that I have expanded energetically, soulfully, through these conversations. I know that I have shifted things just by having a conversation. And this for me further proves that just bringing the light and the consciousness to some of these topics, some of these everyday challenges that we face, or these thoughts or whatever it might be, that we can shift our perspective, we can shift our energy in a microsecond, just because we brought the light to it. So I feel that these types of conversations are not a nice to have. They're a must, you know, they're a kind of non-negotiable. Now, whether that continues in this format, as you say, but I think we have to, as soul brothers and sisters, as communities, as families, whatever it might be, client and practitioner, is to continue these types of conversations, because we are bringing the light out into the collective just by voicing this stuff out there. We're putting this frequency out into the quantum, which is really important.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And as you say, I totally echo that. The amount of things that we have shifted through the pre-conversations in coming up with these titles has been like phenomenal. I know and I recognize I'm not the same person that I was at the beginning of the year. Before these conversations, before all the other stuff that we've both done individually and together and collectively, that it's been expansive. And, you know, the Akashic Records, I think, you know, just ending on that little bit of a note, because that's something so close to both of our hearts, you know, is really the Akashic Records really give us and reflect us back that light of help us to shine the light on what is holding us back, what is not supporting us, what is getting in our way, so we can have these conversations, we can release it in the Akashic Records, and we can support us to step into our autonomy, our sovereignty, and start to really own our unique power, like who we are, rather than playing into the rhetoric, playing into the old paradigms. We can really stand firm and reclaim our power. This is a mantra that I've been talking into a lot this year, like reclaim our power. How can we stand in our power to set firm, distinctive boundaries, but with soft edges, and being able to say, no, this does not work for me, but I do it with love and I do it with kindness. Always perfectly, have to say, but you know, we're learning and we're morphing and we're shifting and we are evolving. What is to come next year is going to be so expansive, and we've been laying the foundations for this, and the Akashic Records for both of us, well, for me, have really been supporting me in who I'm going to show up as in 2025. With those soul brothers and sisters around me, including Marina, hands firmly.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming. Happy Christmas, everybody.
Yeah. Happy Christmas, and here's to 2025.
Here's to 25, celebrating all that has been in 2024 and allowing that to come through, shine through, and stepping into 2025 and continuing the journey. So thank you, Marina. Thank you for everyone that's been on any of our podcasts. It's been a pure pleasure and a joy. See you in 2025.
Bye.
Bye-bye.